Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thursday. Hope you're doing well. This backdrop looks a little crooked, but I'll fix that after the show. It's the castle. Okay, so we are going to record Mike in the Midwest for Thursday. What is today? May 27th. We're talking graduations. Let's do this. Episode 49. Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to episode number 49 of Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for the amazing patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. On behalf of Ricky, Pam, Scott, and myself, thank you so much for, again, supporting the Be Our Guest podcast. We appreciate it so very much. Your support does pay for the bandwidth and the hosting and all the good stuff that goes along with putting out the podcast 4 times a week. And I hope you always enjoy Mike in the Midwest. These random little shows, they don't mean much, but hopefully maybe they will give you a little bit of entertainment, maybe some fond memories of your childhood or your past, maybe things that you didn't know about, growing up here in Missouri, and maybe things are similar. Maybe you say, I didn't even live in the United States, but I did something very, very similar. That's why we get together every Thursday to kind of talk about just events that happen in life to all of us. And today we are going to tackle the topic of graduations. I know they're kind of boring, right? Let's boil it down. Graduations are not the most exciting things in the world to attend. However, they serve a purpose. Remember, I was once the person who went through graduation a couple of different times. But more than that, I was the person on the other side because I worked in the educational field. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. We're recording this show on Thursday, May 27th, 2021, just in case you're listening down the road. And happy Memorial Day weekend. We've almost made it there. Tomorrow kicks off Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start to summer 2021. And I have a feeling this summer is going to be quite epic. We missed out on summer for the most part last year for a lot of things, but here in the States, we're going to have our fireworks return here in St. Louis, the big fireworks show down under the arch. Our town's having the fireworks show. We're having the little, city little fairs and stuff like that coming back this summer and this fall. So things are looking good. And I'm so excited just to get out there. The pools are going to be opening here this weekend. It's going to be a good time. Hope it's a great time wherever you are. Let's hit the feedback from last week's show. Last week, we talked about field day. And I got to send a shout out to my good friend, Susie, who is on our Discord, the Patreon Discord. Remember, if you're listening to the show, you have access to the exclusive Patreon Discord channel. Just go over to patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast, scroll through the messages, and you'll see how to access the private Be Our Guest Podcast Discord channel. Ricky and I are there all the time. Pam drops in every once in a while, but the conversations flow every day over there because these are the super fans, right? I love you guys. And this is such a fun Discord to jump in, but Susie's posting there quite a bit. And at her field day, just this past week, I just had to share this because I thought this was epic. She's a teacher down in Florida, and she volunteered now to get into the dunking booth for her school's field day. How about that? I had never ever heard of a dunking booth at field day, but that's an epic idea. Think about those kids. They have pent up anger at the teachers for 9 months, and this is their chance to throw a baseball and dunk you as the teacher into some ice cold water. Now, the funny thing is that 90% of the kids that I taught, my 6th graders, they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a baseball if I had a target there. So I could taunt them, and I wouldn't even be worried. Now, I did have a few athletes that would drop me probably in 3 shots, no problem. But for the majority, I could just make it worse. I could just hey, hit the target. Missed. Okay, thanks. Go have fun. No, I wouldn't be mean like that, would I? No, because I was a pitcher. I know how hard that is. Anyway, I thought that was pretty epic. So Susie, thanks for sharing that. There's a picture on the Discord for the Patreon, so check that out. That's pretty epic over there. All right, let's get to the feedback from last week's show. Amanda Summer, thanks for being a patron. She just says roll tide. Roll Tide, RTR, right? I just had on my Bama shirt last week, so I guess that's where that came from. Mr. Chris Armstrong, thank you for being a patron. Said, just listened to this on my way back from Disney World. FYI, if you didn't know, there's a new ice cream place at the boardwalk where Ample Hills used to be. Do I not know this? I am dreaming about this. I love ice cream. I loved Ample Hills, and I know this isn't Ample Hills now, but the opportunity to walk up to an ice cream place. We're going to be there in July. We're staying at Yacht Club for 4 nights. Then we're going over to Caribbean Beach for a few nights. And it's just the idea of strolling the boardwalk with ice cream in hand. Yeah, that is what a Disney vacation has turned into for me. 15 years ago, a Disney vacation was Space Mountain, the TTA, the Carousel of Progress, and Big Thunder Mountain and Splash, which is fine. I like those attractions. But I guess I'm getting old because now it's a stroll through World Showcase, some snacks, maybe a drink, and then going out the International Gateway, walking to the boardwalk, getting an ice cream, and just kind of taking it all in. That's what on a beautiful summer night. So that's what I'm looking forward to in July. Thanks for sharing, Mr. Armstrong. I appreciate that very much. Megan Green, our favorite mother of triplets, thanks for being a patron, says, I loved Field Day. My favorite events were the relay race, tug of war, the balloon toss, and get this, the pie eating contest. We didn't get a full pie, just a slice, but man, was that fun. Where were you guys when I was in elementary school? We didn't have a pie eating contest. We didn't have any kind of an eating contest at all. Think about if they did that nowadays, right? There would be all kinds of people getting mad because oh my gosh, my kid's slamming this 500 calorie piece of pie, even if it was just a slice. I know because, right. I was a teacher for years and years. Oh, what about allergies? I mean, I understand kids have allergies and all that. That's why we can't do these things, because we got to safeguard kids. But man, when I look back, it's a wonder we survived doing these kind of things, because we would, there was when I was in elementary school, I mean, there was just not a lot of rules. Like, they didn't worry about allergies in the cafeteria. And I don't know that anybody got sick. And I know things have changed environmentally. But, I look back, like I talk about this a lot. My cousins and myself rode in the back of my grandpa's F-150 pickup all the way out to Six Flags all the time. And Six Flags is 45 minutes on the interstate from our house. Nobody batted an eye. I remember riding in the back of my dad's pickup going up to Springfield, Illinois. He had a cab on it, but still, I mean, you weren't seat belted in. You put a big cushion in the back, and you were good to go. How do we make it? Nicole Rice, thank you for being a patron. Said, just moved to Washington. I'm looking forward to the fair this year. I've heard it is pretty epic. Man, I hope these fairs all come back, because again, I'm really looking forward to county fairs where we moved. We just moved here in the late summer of 2019, looking forward to all these fairs. And then 2020 happened, didn't get to go to any. So maybe this year we'll get to go to the St. Charles County Fair in our county and stuff like that. Andrea Gartland, thank you for being a patron, says Pasco County, Florida. By the way, again, Live PD. I used to watch Pasco County on Live PD. Loved watching what was going on down there. Has an annual county fair in February, complete with a rodeo, pageants, animal showings, and rides. I haven't gone since I was a kid, but I have gone to the parade, which kicks off the celebration many times. Here's what if you're from where I'm from, this is what stood out to me in that little message from Andrea. Their fairs in February. I'm thinking a fair in February, because in here they're either in the spring or in the fall, usually not in the summer because the weather's nicer. But in February, you do not want to have a fair in St. Louis, but that's super cool. And I love rodeos. Again, I mentioned that my cousin's kid, he's a team roper. And so we've gone to watch him at rodeos. And I think it's just so different than what I've grown up with, that it's just awesome, because rodeos, if you don't know, it's not just about like bull riding, which I thought, but it's a really, to me, it's a very wholesome kind of environment, very patriotic. There's a lot of American flags, and not only just the flags themselves, people carry them around on their horses. They have little holsters, and, you just see folks with United States bandanas and so forth, but it's cool. I mean, because it's not just the bull riders and all that stuff. There's entertainment between events. They have the kids out there in the corral or whatever it's called, the main arena. Maybe they're trying to get a grease pig that has a $50 bill on the back of it or something. It's wild. I mean, if you're somebody that didn't grow up in the country, a rodeo is fun. And one of the things I've always wanted to do, one of my bucket list things, is go to the Calgary Stampede up in Canada, because that's supposed to be one of the biggest rodeos in the world. Goes on for like a week, and I've seen stuff about it on TV. So maybe someday I'll get to go to the Calgary Stampede, because I've heard that is just that's something that every person should see. All right, let's get to the topic of today. Thanks for the feedback. If you have feedback on today's show or any shows that we've done up to this point, just go over to patreon.com find episode 49 and start typing. Put it there. We'll talk about it next Thursday. But today I thought we'd talk about graduations because, right, we are in that season. Actually, we're probably kind of wrapping up the graduation season at this point. But I wanted to just kind of give some thoughts and maybe bring some memories back for you as far as graduations. And kind of what got me thinking about this topic was I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about how many graduations kids of today have, right? So like my kid, Mallory, who's 13, and then I have Paige, who's 24. Things changed a lot from the time I was in school to the time Paige was in school to the time Mallory was in school. When I was in school, the first time I went through a graduation ceremony was after high school, after 12th grade. You graduated high school. That was the first time I got a cap and gown and got the honor cord and got the, diploma, shook the superintendent's hand and so forth on the football field. That was a pretty cool event because it was, the first time and I was, 18 at that point. Think about kids of today though. Kids of today, and we'll talk about why, but a lot of kids of today will graduate from preschool. They will also then move on and graduate from kindergarten, love kindergarten graduation. Some schools will have an elementary school graduation ceremony, like after 5th or 6th grade, depending on how the district allots their schools. Some schools have a middle school graduation and then a high school graduation. And then when you go on to college, you have those graduations. So some kids nowadays might go through graduation 6, 7 times. It's kind of crazy. And I thought about this, like, do kids really need to have a preschool graduation and a kindergarten graduation and an elementary school graduation? And I say no, they don't need to. But I think it serves two purposes when you think about this. And you can give me feedback on this because I'm not right. This is just my opinion. One is I think it gives finality to that part of life and I think this is more all for the parents than for the kids. So a preschool graduation, little kids don't realize that, this is graduation, man. I made it to the end of preschool. They just all of a sudden their parents are throwing a cap and a gown on them. They're probably fighting it. They're getting their pictures taken. They don't like it. But the parents are like, we survived preschool. Whew, that's an accomplishment. I'm telling you, I've been there. It was nuts. Then kindergarten graduation, same thing. Like you have kind of gone through the first very hard year of, very formal type schooling. And that's kind of a celebration. So, another cap and gown. Kids still don't like it, but maybe they're kind of excited to be at their friends all looking the same. And the parents can get together and enjoy that. Then the next graduation, after 6th grade. And I'll tell you, I taught 6th grade. So let's break this down here for a little bit of some graduations that I did from the teacher side of things. One is that with my 6th graders, they got 2 graduations in 6th grade. Now you're thinking, what? Okay, here's what we did as teachers. Now I came in, Pam was teaching in the 6th grade team 2 years before I was hired. So I came in with Pam, my wife, because we taught together, and these 2 awesome lady teachers, Rosemary and Jane, and myself. We were the 4 6th grade teachers. It was Mike, Pam, Jane, and Rosemary. Loved them all. They were great. I was so lucky to fall in with the 3 best teachers in the world because I didn't have a clue, and I still didn't when I finished at 17 years. But I just tried to, fake it till I made it and did the best I could. Anyway, so graduations in 6th grade at Wedgwood, where I used to teach. One is we had a DARE graduation. Now, do you guys remember DARE? Drug Assistance or Drug Abuse Resistance and Education, or through education? With the police officer would come into our classroom once a week. I think it was for about 12, 13 weeks, and talk about strategies to avoid smoking and using drugs and, avoiding gangs and stuff like that. Just positive reinforcements, but mostly about, avoiding drug abuse and not getting started on smoking, alcohol, drugs, stuff like that. So the kids would do lessons for, 12, 13 weeks, 1 hour a week in my classroom. And then it would kind of culminate in a graduation at the end of the program. As long as they met, they had to complete a workbook, take kind of a little post test. And as long as they did that, they got to go through DARE graduation, which was always usually in like April. It was a little bit before the end of the school year, but not at the end. And we also had the honor of every kid wrote an essay about what DARE meant to them. Like, how are they going to apply the lessons they learned in DARE to their life moving forward out of 6th grade? And we went through the essays, and we'd have the top 3 read them at the DARE graduation ceremony. It was always a neat deal because the parents were super proud. Remember, I taught in a school district that was very rough. I mean, we were in a rough neighborhood. You probably have heard of Ferguson, Missouri, where all those riots happened back in 2014. That is where I taught. And so we celebrated every victory with these kids. We worked hard for everything we got. And I was super proud of every one of these kids. So it was great to give them an opportunity to have a ceremony where they could sit in chairs, formal, kind of dress up, and their parents were out there proud as anybody. And we got to go through the ceremony. The mayor of our town would come and speak. The police officer would come, that taught the class would come and speak and give some thoughts. And we made it a big deal, and it was pretty cool. And they got the Dare shirts, the classic 90s Dare shirt. They got those at the ceremony. So it was a good deal. Now, the second thing that we did is the second graduation was at the end of the year. The last week of school, we had something called sixth grade recognition. Now, notice I didn't say sixth grade graduation. This was something that I suggested as a sixth grade teacher because they were calling it like a graduation ceremony before I was there. And then one day I brought up the fact that sometimes we have kids that decide they want to do sixth grade more than once. They want to come back for a second tour of duty. Now, they usually don't have the same teacher. They'll be in the same grade level. So they might have had Pam. Maybe they'll have me the next time around. Like I can do any better. So we changed the name to sixth grade recognition. We're recognizing them for completing sixth grade. Doesn't mean they graduated. Doesn't mean they passed sixth grade, but they did make it to the end of the sixth grade experience. And that was always a big deal as well. The parents were proud as peacocks. They got out there, the parents dressed up, the kids dressed up. We had like a slideshow of pictures from all throughout the year. We had some superlatives. Of course, we gave away awards for folks that had straight A's throughout sixth grade, perfect attendance for the year. You don't want to do that anymore, I don't think. Some kids have perfect attendance from kindergarten all the way through sixth grade. That was a special award. Presidential fitness awards. We gave out all kinds of awards at sixth grade recognition. Then we wrapped it up with punch and cake. It was awesome. I mean, it was because the teachers got to formally kind of have a celebration with the students. And if you've never taught, and I know we have a lot of teachers in our audience, and education is super hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. But the thing is, you get more out of it than you might think, because the kids that were the hardest on you and the kids that you really struggled to just kick them in the butt so that they would, they had potential, but they didn't see it and they wouldn't work. And you tried every day to just let them know that they have the potential, they can change their circumstance with just a little bit more work, So you work with those kids all year. Maybe you stay in from recess with them and they hate you for that, but you get them that skill that now they can do long division. Who cares right now, right? But it's a big deal. They're mad because they missed recess, but long-term, they need to know they need this skill for middle school. So if they're mad at me for a week because they missed recess, but if I can give them that skill, so in seventh grade, they can get by, I'm going to do that. So at this recognition ceremony, it was nice because the parents came up and you got to take pictures with the parents. You got to shake the parents' hands, thank them for being a partner in education throughout the year. And a lot of these kids, again, I had a special circumstance where I taught because I taught second grade one year in this school, and I taught fifth grade one year where I kept my class from fifth to sixth. It's called looping. I had the same kids for 2 years, fifth and sixth grade, same class. We came back the first day of sixth grade. Everybody's desks were already set up in the same spot. It's where they left off in fifth grade. We just kept rolling on. Favorite class ever. I wouldn't have done that with all my classes, but it was my favorite class ever. And those kids that I had for the looping 5-6 split, I had 9 of them as second graders. So I had taught some of these kids for 3 years out of their 6 years in elementary school. So it was, kind of bittersweet to see them go because you really know the families. And the thing was, you got pictures with the kids. We had a little backdrop that we made, like how you do at prom, little backdrop for photos. And it was really neat because we had a recognition and we got to celebrate that we made it to the end of the year. The kids loved it. Teachers loved it. Parents, I think, really loved it. I don't know, because the thing is, I've gone to the other side of going to these ceremonies and they're not exciting, right? You hear 99% of the names that don't mean anything to you. You're waiting for that one name. Like I'm waiting for that Paige Pender. I'm waiting for that Mallory Rallman. And I'm so proud when I hear it. But to do that at Mizzou, I got to listen to, 7,000 other names until we hear it. But it is worth it in the end. It's good for everybody, I think. Now, my graduation from high school, again, I don't remember much. I was an athlete. I was playing Legion baseball. I know that we had a Legion game the day before. It was in the evening, our graduation. We might have had a game that morning. I think I did have a game that morning to pitch for Legion, kind of far away. So got home, threw on the nice clothes, put on the robe and the cap, the gown, the honor cord, went out to the football field, sat there. I was kind of tired from playing ball and, got my name. It didn't leave me anything. But here's the thing about graduation that I do remember. And I don't know if you guys had this at your schools or not. We had a thing called Project Graduation. In what it was, now they had this all the years before too, and I look forward to this from freshman year. Project Graduation, or we called it PG, was a lock-in. And so what happened was our graduation ceremony was like 6:00 on the football field, and then it was over by like 8. And so what happened was, I think it was like at 10, you had to be in the school by 10, and it was a lock-in until 6 in the morning. So what it was an alternative. So kids aren't out partying and drinking and driving and all that stuff that could happen graduation night. It was a safe, policed environment that was staffed by all parent volunteers and some teachers and so forth and some administrators. So we had a huge high school. I went to one of the biggest high schools in the area. So we had like a heated swimming pool. We had batting cages. We had 2 gyms, gigantic gyms. We had a big commons area. So they set it up, they brought in a DJ. Now, the year after I graduated, I started DJing the subsequent project graduations. I was the DJ for 93, 94, 95. But for our year, we had this TKO DJ company came in and DJed. So they made a big dance floor in the commons. They set up a casino in one of the small gyms. So you would get chips or tokens and you could play poker or blackjack or roulette. I mean, they had a hypnotist, a big hypnotist show like at 3 a.m. in the big theater. And some of our classmates got hypnotized. All the pizza you could eat donated by like Domino's and Pizza Hut and Papa John's and, sodas, all the sodas you could drink. It was a really cool thing because the thing is most of the kids went in during project graduation is when it really hit. Actually, it was coming out of project graduation the next morning at 6 a.m. The sun was coming up, and you go out to your car. I have my MGB 71 MG. And you get out to your car and you're like, this is it, man. When I drive out of this lot, I'm done. I'm out. And Hazelwood Central, where I went to high school, was a big deal. I liked that school. I loved high school. I played ball. I, got good grades. I worked hard. I wrote for the newspaper, the yearbook. It was a great experience for me. And all of a sudden it hit me like a ton of bricks. My 3 best friends, the 4 of us, we're all going 4 different ways. One's going out to New York to Rensselaer. One's going to DePaul in Chicago. My buddy's going to school in Illinois, and I'm staying here. It was rough. I mean, it hit you like a ton of bricks. So project graduation was awesome. Now, college graduation, even worse. I graduated from the University of Missouri, but not Columbia, Mizzou. It was St. Louis. I stayed home. And I don't even remember that graduation. I do remember that I think I fell asleep in the seats waiting for my name to get called because I had speed skated that morning. And it was a Sunday evening ceremony. So I just remember that, everybody was there in we called it UMSL, University of Missouri St. Louis gym. We had and I hated the colors, right? Because it was our rival colors in high school. We had like red gowns and yellow. The girls had yellow gowns and caps. And so that was the color of Pam's high school, Hazelwood East. We're black and gold. It's a good thing I was black and gold in high school because Mizzou's black and gold. So I love it. Anyway, I had speed skated that morning because that was when I was really into they were getting close to making inline speed skating an Olympic sport. So I was like, if they do make that call, I want to be one of the top ones. I'd given up baseball at this time to try to train for that. Anyway, I had to meet that morning and I was exhausted, but I did go to the graduation because I was the first person in my family to graduate from college, which was a big deal. My parents didn't go to college. My grandparents didn't go to college. I'm the oldest of all the grandkids. So it was a big deal that I, graduated. So I went to the ceremony and got my diploma and got all the pictures and so forth. It was nice, but it was huge. And I felt sorry for my parents because it took forever. But then I got my master's degree later and I didn't even go to that ceremony because I was working at Space Camp at the time down in Alabama. The ceremony was here in St. Louis. I didn't want to drive home for that. I was having too much fun down at Space Camp. I love teaching there. It's the best teaching job I ever had. So I didn't go to that one. And, do I regret it? Not a big deal. The reason I got a master's degree was just because you got paid more as a teacher if you had a master's degree, to be honest. I didn't learn a ton in that program because it was kind of not a great program. The district asked some teachers if they wanted to join. I did. I did all the work. I got the degree, got the raise. That's what I was looking for. Now, I will say that I wanted to close this from a parent's perspective. That was my perspective and my memories of graduation through what I had. I will tell you the proudest I've ever been two times. And the parent's going to get this, right? You're going to get this. And if you're not a parent, you will get this someday. You probably understand. One was when Mallory graduated from preschool. And I know this sounds so dumb, right? Because she's only in 7th grade right now. But it was, we loved our preschool because Paige had gone to this preschool and Mallory had gone to this preschool. And it was in our church where we used to live. And the thing was, the staff was like family. I mean, when they take care of your baby, you drop them off. It's, 2 months old when they're in the nursery. And, you trust them to keep your little daughter alive, to feed her, change her diapers, all that stuff. And to see her grow into very educated young lady at the end of preschool. She knew almost how to read. She knew some basic math. She knew they had worked really hard with her in those 4 years or so that she spent at the daycare. And so they had their little graduation ceremony, little gowns, blue ones, caps. It was kind of tough because this was my first time going through that with my kid. And then I will say the other time that I was super, super emotional was when Paige graduated from Mizzou with her undergrad degree. She got a degree in biochemistry a few years back. And I always wanted to go to Mizzou. You guys know I have half of my outfits are black and gold. They're Mizzou stuff, right? I am a Tiger, true and true. I love Mizzou. Always have my whole life. I've listened to Mizzou games on the radio. I've loved Mizzou my entire life. But I just really couldn't afford to go to Mizzou, to go away to school when I was graduating high school. It just wasn't really an option. But I was still a Mizzou fan. And I got to go to University of Missouri, St. Louis. It's in the system. But I didn't get to go to Mizzou. Just quick side note, I did get my gifted certification through Mizzou. So I kind of have a little bit of a degree through Mizzou. It was an online program, but it's through Mizzou Online. So I got a little Tiger. Anyway, Paige went to Mizzou. She graduated from Mizzou. That was like the proudest thing. Way better than me ever graduating from Mizzou was my stepdaughter, graduating from Mizzou. I was so proud to be in that Hearn Center. That's where they had the graduation. The big gym where the volleyball plays and the basketball teams used to play. She's in her black, gown and cap, and it's got the Mizzou logo on it. And, Truman the Tigers at the ceremony. And, it was, the governor of the state of Missouri is there speaking. I'm just like, this is unbelievable. Like, this is what I wanted to do so badly. But now way better is that my daughter is doing this. And the thing that kills me is that she just graduated with her master's about 3 weeks ago. And if you know anything about the stories of 3 weeks ago, I had a kidney stone on a late Thursday night, early Friday morning, and had to have surgery on Friday night. Like at 6:00 in the evening, they did surgery. And her graduation was Saturday morning. And I wanted to go so badly, but I couldn't literally get out of the bed on Saturday morning at the hospital. So I couldn't go. So I did miss her master's degree graduation, but I did get to see her undergrad. And I'm so proud of that girl. When your kids get to do something you never got to do, it's way better than you getting to do it. I promise you as a parent, it's way better. When you see it through your kids, like, she's a Tiger. Like my daughter's a Tiger. That is the best. I wish I could have been, but I'm the parent of a Tiger now. I know I should have the bumper sticker, right? And now that she works for Mizzou women's basketball, it's like a dream come true. Like she's working with Mizzou athletics. Pretty sweet. Anyway, what are your memories with graduation? Did you enjoy your ceremony? Did you have extra events outside of the ceremony itself? Did you do a project graduation? Did you have lock-ins? Did you have crazy wild graduation parties that you set up outside of the school? What about your kids? Do we have too many graduation ceremonies right now? Do we have too few? What are your thoughts? Leave your comments here, but I'd love to hear about it. Those are my thoughts on graduation here in May of 2021. I hope you all have a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have some fun with friends and family, make some great memories. I sure appreciate you guys supporting the show. I hope you always enjoy everything we put out. I try to do the best I can. I know I'm just a guy that's a Disney fan. That's totally it. But I try to give the best I can to you guys so you can enjoy these shows. And I hope you always get a little smile or a fun memory from these Thursday morning little podcasts. All right. Well, you guys have a great 3-day weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All right, everybody. See you later.